All right, guys, we're back again. Your bi-weekly episode. Tuesdays and Fridays, the episode will come out. If you're not following me on Instagram yet, make sure you do. Take this hood off. Getting kind of hot. At Special One Cards on the Instagram. And then if you're not subscribing on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, make sure you do that too as well. Comment, like, share my podcast. It helps me obviously garner more attention and that sort of stuff. So I really appreciate all the new followers that have come along the last few weeks. Really appreciate that. For those followers that have been around for a while, thank you again for everything you guys have done and helping me kind of expand this podcast. And we continue on. So we had a busy week of Champions League this week. Nothing crazy, nothing notable. I think Tuesday's edition of the Champions League was actually the most goals ever scored. Unfortunately, my Benfica 3-0 loss didn't see that one coming. We have some problems at Benfica. There's a lack of depth, obviously. Yeah, I don't know how they solved that problem. They got the coach, but nothing is kind of working the way it should be. So let's hope they can at least have a good league this year and position themselves well in the Portuguese league to try to get Champions League qualifications for next year. That's kind of the hope here. Real Madrid with the win over Juventus, which was fantastic. But for me, some of you guys saw I had a little parlay action. I think it was an 8-teamer, if I remember correctly. And I missed it because Mbappe didn't score. Of all games, he didn't score a goal in that game, which would have been crazy. But that's why these parlays they're not always the best. I don't advise gambling either, but in the card game, we are technically gambling at the end of the day, unless you do your homework and do your work. I also want to thank everybody who came out to the Whatnot show that I had on Thursday and did okay. Didn't sell a whole lot, but I sold a little bit. It was fun. I was unorganized per usual. I think for next week when I do another show, I'm actually going to have everything uploaded so I can just run auctions and then just talk football with you as well. That makes it a lot more fun and more convenient when I have that kind of organized correctly. And then one of the things I did put up some sales on my stories. I did get a Messi 2006 World Cup card back from PSA in a PSA 8, which is nice, but I was expecting a 9 or maybe even a 10. I knew it was a borderline 10, but it got an 8. So I was a little disappointed in that. I will still make money on it, obviously, which is always important. But I'm also going to talk about the importance of that card and how it relates on this episode today. And I know people have seen that card quite a bit the last month and a half or so with all the hype behind that card, but there is a significant importance there. And I'm going to compare it to a Michael Jordan card and why you should actually consider even buying it now at this point if you can afford a PSA 10. The PSA 10 I still think is kind of undervalued when you think about it. And people might disagree, but when I show you the data, you're probably going to end up agreeing with me on the points I'm going to make. I'm going to cover a few things that primarily. I'm also going to talk a little bit about some data points from this week in soccer cards. Kind of a new segment, I guess. I always do data, but I think I wanted to talk a little bit about data. And I'm going to talk about some recent pickups too, as well, just so you guys know what I bought in recently, what I'm going to be grading, etc. That Messi PSA 8 is available, so if you are interested, send me a message on Instagram. Promise I'm not going to hurt anybody. I know I posted it on Instagram earlier today with a price, but I'm not totally firm on that. But would like to be around comps, obviously. That card's fluctuated from 7 to 850 in recent weeks, so need to be around there. Also, the Nevs Orange of 25 Sapphire, I am selling that. PSA 10, a recent of 25 Sapphire Euro edition, raw sold for 100, and I was only asking 125 for the Chrome version, which is in the Benfica kit. And I get it. I had somebody actually inquire about the price for the Chrome one, and I was a little disappointed because they said it was the Euro card is better. It might be better, but at my price initially at 150, I thought that price was very attractive for most people, but I guess it wasn't, which isn't a big deal. I'll keep the card if I have to. Not a big deal. At the end of the day, whomever wants something from me, I try to be fair and I try to also understand what that person might want to do with the card. And some people I stopped selling to for particular reasons. One, they repost the card to sell right away. And I know they have a right to do that. They own the card now. But, kind of irks me a little bit that if I put a deal out there for somebody, yeah, I'm letting them go with the card, but I'm also trying to understand what the buyer is going to do with that card. Some people collect them. Some people, I had a person, I can't remember his screen name on Instagram, but I had one of those cherry blossom nabs. I actually have two of them, but I sold him one at a really good price because I know he was collecting the rainbow for that set. So not a big deal. It's a Japanese card, the cherry blossoms. So that was fine. But certain things, man, it kind of upsets me that people are just they take advantage of somebody offering a good deal, or they come in and say they want a better price. And I've just learned to say no to those people. And I think enough of that is not being done in the hobby, where you need to say no and stand firm and just leave it as it is and just move on. I hate to sound aggravated, but it kind of aggravates me when somebody buys a card for me and then they turn around and sell it for like a lot more, without coming back and being like, "Hey, Paulo, here's $15. Thanks for hooking me up, man. Here's $5 for a coffee and a sandwich." Well, I don't know, you can get a $5 sandwich these days, but that's just kind of my rant. It's not a big deal. Also, I want to thank all the people that kind of reached out to me, thanking me for the stuff I do because of my rant I had the other day on people kind of hating on me on Instagram. And I get periodic messages like that, and it really kind of annoys me, but it stopped annoying me now. I'm kind of like, whatever. That means I'm making it. I'm doing stuff that's good for the hobby. And that's really the goal here at the end of the day, is to do that and be positive and show you guys different ways to do different things. So, all right, the first thing we're going to cover is some data points from the week. Kind of a new segment here. I'm going to start doing these, I think, on Thursdays, where I can cover from the previous week up until the Friday edition of the podcast on some trends that happened in the soccer hobby. All right, guys, let's talk some data for this week. And I'm going to cover a few different things here, so I don't want you to get too crazy. Let's start with some recent sales. We had a Topps FC Barcelona 125th anniversary relic, the Camp Nou Goldnet patch, sell for $2,500 on the 22nd in Golden Auctions. It's the 1 of 1. Tie into the Stadium's final game on auto version. I hit for $1,200 earlier, up 45% from September baseline. A lot of this is due to they won this week, so maybe it could be that. And there's some data trends there in terms of what happens with the Champions League games going on in cards. There's actually a direct thing there when you talk about. We had a Bruno Fernandes 24-25 Inception of 10 red auto patch sell for $500. Looks like it climbed about 30% in the final hour of bidding. So these are some notes I wrote down, so I'm kind of just going to run through these really quick. Ronaldo 2021 Panini Obsidian Volcanic red of 8 auto patch. Golden Auction sold for $850 on the 23rd. It's a CR7 United card, so always going to have a demand there. For the Arsenal fans, you had a Gabriel Jesus 23-24 Top Sapphire Black of 10 PSA 9. Real healthy sale at $350. If you think about that, it's a real healthy sale. Somebody, probably a big Arsenal fan or a Gabriel Jesus fan, they wanted that card. An Estevan 2025 Topps Now Premier League Gold Foil Rookie of 50 sold the 18th. Oh, it's actually ongoing. This auction's still going, it looks like. Estevan's hot prospect, obviously. You got to be patient with them. I know some people have expected him to just come on and score just like a million goals. It doesn't work that way. He's adjusting to English football. Obviously, that's a big thing. So, some key metrics for you guys to kind of think about. Average price increases, and I kind of did some data diving here for this. So average price increase for Champions League rookies, we saw a 28% increase week over week. For example, Yamal parallels are up from $300 to $400 on average. Again, the Champions League, we had 43 goals midweek, which is crazy. High-end sales this week, you had about 150 plus soccer card auctions closed from the 17th to the 24th, 40% featured auto relic cards greater than $500. So think about that for a second. 40% of the high-end sales this week, actually 40% of the sales of high-end cards, they featured autos or relics that were greater than $500. That's a really healthy, significant number. Messi and Ronaldo alone carried 60% of those top lots. Indication that those two are still strong in the market. Looks like 24-25 Chrome boxes are selling for about $625 right now. I don't know if that's accurate or not in my notes here, but 50%, 15% ROI on resale, and that looks kind of like probably a jumbo. The Barcelona anniversary set relics, they average about $800 a sale per relic, which is interesting, because I feel like when I did that survey, the numbers didn't show that people really cared about relics, but obviously some people do when it comes to Camp Nou. Player demand index, and a lot of this is, I kind of captured some of this data from X plus eBay watches that I looked at. Yamal 95 out of 100. Bruno Fernandes, a little uptick there. Ronaldo. And then Marcus Rashford obviously spiked quite a bit, but that's probably due to his 2 goals this week. So there's a market there for those that are collecting Rashford or that are flipping Rashford or whatever they're doing with Marcus Rashford. There was also a rumor that came out about him, and I forgot where I saw it, that he wasn't, that a lot of his teammates at United and had actually said that he didn't put his full effort in during practices through the years, and they looked at that, and anybody that does that, obviously, it's good. You're going to look down upon them if they're not practicing hard. I know some coaches really demand a lot out of practices, and we've seen kind of through history in sports where players kind of question the idea of practice, i.e., Allen Iverson, for example, or you've heard stories about Ronaldinho who really didn't. He showed up for practice, but didn't always put his best effort in at practice. So and allegedly, I can't neither confirm or speak to that since I've never spoken to Ronaldinho. But another interesting data that I did pull is the grading impact on cards, right? PSA 10s this week, premiums average about 2.5x the raw value. That's interesting. I think you had a Yamal Gold Refractor PSA 10 at 750 versus a $300 ungraded. So there it is, 2.5x. So, my Nevs, for example, that orange sapphire, the raw Euro version sold for $99. I priced it at 150, 125. So it's probably under what it should be selling for. And I had it on my Whatnot stream, but nobody bid on it. I think I wanted 185 at that point in time because of the fees and whatnot. So I'm right there. Probably too low, actually, now that I think of it. So I might have to actually readjust that for anybody that might be interested in that card. Now, some emerging trends. Champions League, as we know, always drives the market quite a bit, particularly if on certain players that score goals. Yamal, Gabriel Jesus, for example, Marcus Rashford this week. Players of that nature saw a 20 to 50% jump within 24 hours post game. So keep that in mind. When you see players that do that, and if you're flipping or trying to turn stuff for profit, you probably got to list that stuff within 24 hours of that game. One of the things that I did do recently, I had some Wembanyama PSA 10s in the Mosaic set and 2 parallels, and I sent them in to be consigned last week, and he had a really good game opening night. So yeah, I got lucky. All right. You get lucky on certain things, but at the same time, am I selling too early? That's the question on Wembanyama. And I don't collect a lot of basketball, just here and there. I'll buy a blaster if I see it at Walmart or something, and I just normally don't buy that stuff. But in terms of the investment watch for trend, low numbered parallels such as like of 10 or less, they're outperforming the other cards by 40%. So what I mean by that is the demand for those is obviously higher, so there's less of those. So there's more people searching for those. So that makes them really a card that people want. We all want of 10s or better, obviously. I actually don't mind of 9s and less, but that's just me. I know some people have specific rules, and I'm kind of turning with my João Neves stuff. I'm kind of turning towards that kind of priority of 10 or less, but then also the of 50s, the golds and 50s I want. So I've been trying to focus on just buying all Neves gold stuff. Golden Boy Neves, Benfica stuff. That's been really kind of a important thing for me. Those Barcelona relics out of that 125th anniversary set are kind of a long-term hold, it looks like, in terms of the investment watch of that stuff, the collectability of those cards. They are collectible. A lot of the stuff right now, in terms of what I saw on Twitter, the chatter or on X and the various areas, are Mbappe stuff, right? Like high multiples, low pop cards. Mbappe stuff is being chased. Like I had said that weeks ago. So that's happening right now. So interesting stuff going on. Again, I think obviously low numbered cards are kind of the thing here, but you have to remember not everybody's got disposable income like some of us might have, or have that income to spend on high cost cards or high. So if you're dabbling in that kind of, 50 to $300 slab kind of area. And I think there's obviously different zones here. You have the 50 to 100 kind of area, and that's never really been defined, right? And I think the hobby does not define that. I think it's a personal thing. For me, I kind of dabble in that, I guess, 40 to $300 slabs, really, that I sell consistently. Not a lot. I don't sell a lot of stuff, but like that Messi PSA 8 I'm selling, even though I probably shouldn't sell it. I'm going to show you why shortly. But kind of find your lane and figure out what you're more comfortable with. I know for me, it's kind of the idea of like trying to buy stuff that's raw, maybe under, $200 and seeing if it's something I can kind of like turn around to help my Nevs collection grow, then I do it. But I generally don't go into that higher price tier. For one, it's kind of a budgeting thing. For two, it's kind of maybe the opportunity is not there. Maybe the audience that I'm looking at on Instagram, if I want to flip a card like that, isn't there where I have to consign stuff. So, and I consign a little bit. If anybody has any questions about consigning, let me know. Happy to help you. There's a few guys on eBay that are really good at that I've used because they get a lot of views. So it's important to kind of do that. And I can talk about my experience one of these days about that. So those are kind of some of the trends this week and data points to kind of reflect on for the week in soccer cards and the stuff that I saw, that I looked at, that I took note of, and accurately put together some data for you guys. And I hope you guys like that kind of segment. I'm probably gonna start doing those weekly on Fridays to kind of recap what's happened. Again, Champions League has a very big impact on what happens to card values because of the goal scorers, right? Where there's opportunity. So you have to be quick. If you're trying to flip something to buy something else that you like and that you want, you have to be quick with it and you have to move quick. And again, some people are successful with that. Some people aren't. Some people are buying the wrong players or they're collecting the players. It's different if you're collecting. And I hate to hark on that again. All right. Quick few announcements. Number one, Northern Soccer Card Expo. Those guys have been messaging. If you guys are listening, can one of you guys just get on the podcast? I want to help you promote the show. It doesn't seem like you guys really, I don't know, not trying to be a bad guy here, but you guys got to promote that show a little bit better. I don't know if you're promoting it enough or if you're kind of giving up. And I want to help you guys. And I'm not trying to get compensated or anything, but I'm happy to announce that. But Northern Soccer Card Expo, Saturday, November 8th, 6 to 11 p.m. It's at the King's Court. It's 1775 Sismith Road in Mississauga, Ontario, right outside Toronto. For those going, I think the last day to book a table is actually tomorrow, October 25th on Saturday. So if you want to book a table, book one. I'm 80% going. We'll see. I'm not as decisive as I was last time. So hopefully I make it because I want to see some people. I love always hanging out with some of you guys up there in Canada. A lot of fun. Other big announcement here. The All Soccer Cards and Collectibles Show of New Jersey does return again over the holidays on December 27th, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. This time it's going to be held in Parsippany, New Jersey. Bigger venue. It's going to be held at the Parsippany Pal, 33 Baldwin Road in New Jersey. Exciting. Could be 70 plus soccer tables there, free admission. Tables, 1 8-foot table is $65. 2 tables is $120. And if you're looking for a table, you can reach out to me, hooked on soccer _ cards, or at sac cards as well. We're happy to help you and lead you guys to the right person. Ultimately, you probably want to reach out to Paulo Silva. His email is, let me just see here if I can see this again. Let me give you his number, actually. 973-296-4718. It's right on the flyer. So if you want to follow the All Soccer Cards and Collectible Show of New Jersey, check out the Instagram. It's all _ soccer cards _ show on Instagram, and you can get all your information there, or even feel free to send me a message and I can help you and answer any questions that I can. Again, Parsippany Pal in Parsippany, New Jersey, December 27th, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Going to be a lot of fun again. I am not sure if I'm going to be there, unfortunately. I'm supposed to make a trip to Portugal for the holidays to see my parents with my wife and my kid. That is still kind of up in the air still as of now, waiting on my wife, who's a teacher, to see if she can get out a day or two earlier so I can maximize my trip. And of course, try to get a little cheaper flights. That's kind of the goal. So traveling is always fun. And my kid, now that he's 2, it's going to be kind of a little bit more of a challenge this time because he's gotten a little older and more curious. So we'll see. And now he's going to buy his own seat. Now you have to pay for his flight too. Those parents out there know about the struggle. Stroller, car seat, luggage for him, etc. I'll probably be content with just packing a bag with like a pair of underwear for each day. Actually, not even that. I could probably pack 7 pairs of underwear, and that's probably not the right wording because 7 pairs of underwear is 14 pairs. There's 14 underwears. Let's not go there. And then socks, and then, some t-shirts. Luckily, my parents do have washer and dryer. I know some people might think Portugal's a third world country. It certainly is not, but they do have washer and dryers there. So I could probably pack a bag, just a little bag, a carry-on. And of course, when you have a wife or you have a significant other who needs to look always at their best constantly, they pack like more than necessary. So that's a problem. And that has nothing to do with soccer cards, but we do the same in soccer cards. We buy too much stuff, hoard too much stuff, and then we're stuck with it. And that happens to me too a lot. All right, guys. So that's the quick announcements on that stuff. I was looking at some things in terms of comparisons of sports, right? We talk about GOATs. We're talking about kind of the elite of the elite. And when you talk about that, we talk about Messi, Ronaldo, right? In soccer, we talk about LeBron, Michael, Jordan, even though LeBron's lost, 6 NBA finals. And when we talk about Messi and Ronaldo, we like to compare the two, Messi to Jordan and Ronaldo to LeBron. Listen, I'll argue this all day. Ronaldo's the better athlete, the more successful athlete, given that he's only lost 1 Champions League final. Jordan's lost 6 NBA finals, if not more. I think it's 6 that he's lost. Fuck, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 6. And especially when he lost that Dallas team that he shouldn't have lost to. But anyways, Tom Brady, right? The elite guys, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, guys of that nature, and then modern day playing guys that are still playing Messi, obviously Ronaldo, Patrick Mahomes, as of now, still probably the best in the NFL. Basketball, you kind of have Shea, who's kind of rising. Stephen Curry, obviously. And I know a lot of people have been speaking about this, and I've talked about this for a while too, is you have to start to kind of look at players and try to identify the other players in other sports and look at the pop counts on certain cards and try to understand correlations and relationships as they pertain to the soccer card market. That's where the big piece comes here. And I started to look at things. And I know that the '06 World Cup Messi card, and I specifically did this one because I kind of wanted to think about this. And the reason why I picked that card is, one, it's his first World Cup card. It's an actual card. It's not a sticker. And there's probably a Mega Crack second year one in there, but I think they released probably around the same time. And I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that. But I would probably say that's probably besides his rookie card, it's probably his best card in terms of like a base card with no parallels. Okay. Again, my opinion, not the opinion of the hobby, but just my opinion. And then I started thinking, okay, well, what about Jordan? Jordan's got a lot of really nice cards. All right. You have all those parallels, those PMGs from the 90s, refractors, things of that nature. I didn't want to look at those because I think those are special kind of cards, different types of cards to think about. I wanted to look specifically at base cards of Jordan. And specifically, I didn't want to look at his rookie because the Messi rookie and the 86 Flair Jordan rookie are kind of comparable when you think about it. The one I wanted to look at was obviously the Messi World Cup one, like I stated before, the 2006 World Cup Messi, the one that I just got graded. I got an 8, unfortunately for me, which was depressing. But it's card number 46 out of the 2006 Panini World Cup Messi card. And for those that don't know which card that is, I think many of you probably know which one it is. I'm going to show you on the screen really quick here, just so you remember which card I'm referring to, so there is no confusion at all. It is this card right here. You'll see it on the screen right now. There it is. There it is right there. 2006 Panini World Cup Lionel Messi, number 47, mint 9. This is a 9 I'm showing you. Just recently sold on Card Ladder. Didn't sell on Card Ladder. It was an auction card that sold on the 23rd for $1,725. So I wanted to look at this card. And I wanted to look at Jordan card, specifically the 1987 to second year Jordan card. For those that don't know what it looks like, it's actually a pretty awesome card. I actually like this card a lot. And I haven't looked at the temperature gauge on this card lately with a basketball collector. I should probably ask somebody that's in that market, like Zips cards. But it's a card I've always liked. I think the portrait kind of the card is really nice. And the reason why this card is significant, it's a second year Jordan. You'll see it there on my screen. There's the card right there. 87 Flair Michael Jordan, card number 59. You look at the card, it's kind of that 80s kind of vibe. Topps 86 kind of have a similar design if you think about it. Topps baseball, for those that don't know, is all black, which are hard to grade, but it kind of had that bar at the top there with the team name. So very similar design in terms of that aspect, but different colors. This Jordan image is really cool. It's kind of that portrait, waist up image of the Jordan. But here's what I want to talk about. Why I think this card, right? And we start to look at things comparable to the Messi card that I showed before, why it's important or why they correlate or why we should start to think this way. Very important to start to think the way I'm going to start to think. And if you have the means to do this, I know some of you are probably saying this. I think that Messi card still has more room to grow. And people might doubt me and tell me I'm wrong. I actually had reflected on that card about a year ago and said that card had a lot of room to grow. And then with Peeps My Card, when he was on the podcast a few months back, we also had the same opinion. That card has room to grow. And I'm going to show you why. When you look at this, and I'm going to do an Instagram post for this too, sooner or later, because I think it's important for people to understand the reflection here of what what I'm trying to associate here with the data. I'm going to show you why it's important to see why this card has room. The Messi card has room. All right. Take the Jordan. All right. Let's look at the Jordan for a second. All right. Here we go. Here's the Jordan pop counts, all right? The gem rate is 1.24%. There's 403 gems total. That's across all the grading platforms. PSA, the gem rate's less than 1%, so very hard to gem this card. There's centering issues on the card. I've owned a few of these in the past. But the pop count is 22,126. Yeah, you heard that right. 22,126 cards. There's 216 total gems, all right? The PSA 10, as you'll see here, 216 total. Card is valued, according to Card Ladder, at $22,790. PSA 9s are valued at $2,118. So even if you have a 9, you're still looking pretty good as compared to a Messi. That drastic valuation from the 9 to the 10 in the Jordan is significant because it reflects the gem rate. With PSA at 1% less than 1% gem rate, you'll see there, again, a PSA 9 is $2,118 and a PSA 10 is $22,790 in the Jordan, all right? Now, if you look at the Messi, so keep that number in mind there, PSA 10, 216, $22,790, all right? Now, let's look at the Messi card. And this is why there's room. And you could feel free to disagree with me. Based on the gem rate, you may disagree with me, but I think we're going somewhere with this data, and it's important. I think that's why some of the high-end collectors see this as an opportunity that you're not aware of. The Messi, PSA 10, 135 exists. Total population is 1,782. The Jordan had a PSA count. The pop count on the Jordans is a total of 22,000. 22,000. That's basically almost 10x in total pop. Okay. The Jordan PSA 10s, again, there was 216 of those, and the valuation is $22,790. The PSA 10 Messi is worth $8,582. There's 135. There's less pop in the PSA 10, and the Jordan is worth 22K. That's almost 3x the Messi. That's where it is right there. Now, the gem rate is 7.58% on the Messi 06 World Cup, so a lot higher, 7% higher than the gem rate on the Jordan. But I think it's safe for us to say that this Messi is probably a $14,000 to $15,000 card in my eyes in a 10 down the road over the long term. He has not retired yet. Oh, that 14, 15K might come 10 years later, but it will come. Again, as you buy these raw, they're harder and harder to grade because they're condition sensitive on these cards. And it's really hard to tell the centering on these cards. And there's a tool on eBay that you can buy to tell the centering. But hope you guys understand what I'm saying here. The PSA 9 and the Messi, 470 of those are available. PSA 9 is worth $1,124. The Jordan, PSA 9, there's 2,800 of those. It's worth $2,118. So you're trying to tell me that the Jordan, which has 6x in PSA 9s and the Messi, is worth double the Messi? No way. No way in hell. The other grades, as they get lower, you see that the grades kind of match up and the prices. And that's where kind of the opportunity lies in the 9s and the 10s of the Messis compared to the Jordan card, because the valuation on those kind of aligns more. The PSA 8 and the Messi is $740 with 614 in circulation. The Jordan, even the PSA 8, is worth about 728, so it's about the same thing. But the Jordan has 8,700 total population in PSA 8s. So there's obviously opportunity there. The Messi is more scarce. If I did a scarcity by volume calculation on this, you would see that the Messi should be worth more. And that's not me trying to pump the card on my Messi because I listed it at less. Or I didn't list it at less, but it's around, I want around 7 to 750 for the card. So if you're interested, let me know. But hope you guys understand what I'm talking about here. I think there's a direct correlation there on this stuff. And I think if you start to look at things in this manner, you start to understand better the different valuation, the different athletes that are comparable to each other. Jordan obviously has more of a, let's say, a pop culture phenomena versus Messi, especially with the Jordan brand, the Nike shoes and things of that nature. But it's needless to say, they're both kind of goats. The goats of their sports, right? And there's always debate on if Jordan's the best ever or if Messi's the best. There's always going to be that debate. Always going to be that debate. But you guys understand what I'm doing there. That's how I look at some of these cards, honestly, to see if there's opportunity. I did the same thing with the Mbappe stained glass, and I continue to do that with other stuff. That's kind of the roadmap you have to take when you're trying to do some different things in valuing cards and what represents their valuations, etc. Now, I should probably actually look at some other Jordan Messi cards to do some more comparables, which I probably will. I'll probably do a post like this weekend after this podcast releases for you to identify those opportunities. Again, the Messi is very high right now. So if you don't have the budget, don't overspend on that PSA 10. But I do think that if you're a long-term play on that Messi card, I do see that card being probably double its valuation today, 10 years down the line, 15 years down. I do see that. I don't think you can lose that card. That's why that PSA 8, I have it at that price. If nobody buys it, I'm fine holding on to it because I think even PSA 8, everything goes up after a while. Once those budgets can't be hit, we see that with the Jordan rookie, right? We've seen that with the Messi rookies, etc. We've seen with second-year cards do exceptionally well. That Jordan's a prime example of one. You've seen second-year Tom Brady stuff do really well. You've seen second-year in all the other sports. And that's part of why the soccer hobby is so immature compared to the other sports. Hasn't matured to that level yet because it doesn't have the history that the other sports have. And that's what I want you guys to still think about always. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't buy, $1, $2 cards, obviously. I think it's important to do that. Very important to do that. But you got to be very strategic in what you're doing if you're in the game to kind of flip and make money, right? Some of us aren't. I mean, I sell some stuff to fund some of my Nev stuff that I'm buying. For example, I actually, I'm going to actually tell you guys about my pickups recently. So you guys get a better understanding. I continue to buy some of the 14 stuff, the 2014 stuff I see available on auction of Prism, because I think there's opportunity there. There's 18 stuff too that you should probably start looking at, because if you're priced out of 2014, you should probably start looking at 2018. Again, World Cup, there's been Prism 14, 18, and 22. There's been 3 sets of Prism. And we don't know what's going to happen with these licenses down the road. So, forgot where I was going there with my thought. But the 14 stuff, you can still find some decent stuff. And I graded a bunch of stuff recently. One of the cards that I bought recently, I bought a Falcao. Actually, not right, I bought that card recently. I bought a Radamel Falcao orange from 2018. And 2018. Can't remember what those are numbered to, the orange. Is it 60? No, 49, I think. I think it's 49, if I remember correctly. Don't kill me if I have that number wrong, but the PSA 10. But you know how much I paid for that card? I paid $1 for that card. I got that out of a value bin last year. So I graded that. So when I'm doing the math on that card, it's a card that I don't intend to keep, but there's going to be a Colombian collector that's going to want that card, especially if they're priced out of certain cards and they can't find certain cards, right? I think that's kind of the thing here when you start to think about things, because ultimately, once you get priced out, you look for the next best thing, and that generally is kind of that situation. So let me just check here. I'm gonna look at what I bought recently, kind of give you guys kind of a rundown what I've bought so far. And what I'll probably do is I'll upload photos so you guys can see the cards that I actually bought recently, if the images are provided, of course, if they look good. So I bought another Samu Omorodian red. I sold a slab the other day. I think I sold it really cheap from 23 La Liga. I bought a Nuno Mendes rookie at a World Cup Prism from 2022, number to 49. I bought a Pogba 2014 silver, which I hope can gem or get a 9. Like the Buffon I posted the other day, that card, PSA will offer me $96 on that card and a PSA 9. A recent sale of that card was $126. And I remember when I bought that card out of value box, the same value box I bought the Falcao out of, and I paid like $1 for that card. I think it was $1. That card at the time, the PSA 10 in that card was going for $80. The 9s are now selling for $126. That Buffon, the Cup Captain Silver. I bought a Nevs Immaculate of 10 just the base version, 24-25 Immaculate. I also bought recently a Falcao Neymar. You guys saw that silver out of 2014 Prism, bought Mbappe Gold Standard. We've covered that. The F79. I bought the Clint Dempsey Auto out of 2014 Prism. I bought a Iniesta Ribery Silver matchups card as well, a Balotelli Cavani Silver. I actually like the silvers better than some of the other parallels. I think the other parallels are a little busy for me. So buy what you like is kind of the point here. I bought a Di Maria. Who's the other guy on that card? I can't remember who the other guy. Matchups card as well. A Drogba Cup Captains as well, silver from 2014. Eto silver 2014. I bought a Landon Donovan as well, silver 2014. Casillas 2014 Cup Captains. Eto. I bought the red, white, blue. I bought another Eto in the yellow, red, hyper. Casillas red hyper as well. Casillas, another Casillas. The goalies don't get another love, but like the 2014 stuff is drying up. And I think it's important. Michael Bradley as well, the blue parallel. I think it was a number 199, 2014. So I guess it's the moral of the story here is if you have the opportunity to buy some of these cards at good prices, just buy them and grade them. Because I think even if they 9, you have to start to think that down the road, I look at this set as comparable to the 86 Flair basketball set, kind of iconic first Prism, first World Cup set, really iconic. And some people have already caught on to that. They're like well ahead of everybody else, probably well ahead of me too, even though I've tried to pick up a few the last few years. But I think you have to start to think of that way. There's another set that I think could become like this down the road. Just think of firsts, right? And we've talked about stained glass firsts and why they're important, but you have to start to think about firsts and why they're important to the hobby. It's historical. Always firsts are so important. You can just look at through the history of sports cards and every other sport, it's part of it. And again, because the soccer hobby is so immature, this is what happens. We got to start to look at those things actively and show interest in certain sets because that's the first time they ever released, or maybe they never released a set again. But, I'm talking like, even like Merlin Chrome. I'm talking like Stadium Club Chrome, things of that nature. And I know there's going to be doubters out there who say, well, those don't ever possess the value that the other sets do because they compete with other sets. This is true, but we don't know what down the road is going to bring and how people are going to act. Tastes change. People's preferences change. My hobby preference changes all the time. All the time. Oh, yeah. One of the things I forgot to mention, I picked up a Nevs Gold of 10. Not an auto, but at a Prism FIFA World Cup Cup. I know some people say it's not licensed. I know it's not licensed, but it's Prism. It's his first Prism card. And probably what's going to happen, though, is this. I think it's FIFA. I think the Nevs Prism World Cup card for next summer will probably supersede this one because it'll be licensed. It'll be in a Portugal kit. But technically, it won't be his first Prism card, but it'll be his first Prism World Cup card. This is where it gets dicey now. Very dicey. So you have to kind of look at things from that perspective. Use your heads. You're all smart. You all can make these decisions and understand what you're doing. Again, it doesn't matter if you're collecting like me. I'm collecting Nev's gold everything. I want this gold of everything. And getting that Nev's FIFA Club World Cup was important because I didn't have one of those. The best part about it, it cost me under $50. Crazy. Under $50. Yet his kabooms are selling for $200 unlicensed. His gold kaboom, I've seen a few of them listed for $8,000 on eBay. Like, people are out of their minds. That card I'd love to have, but I'm probably never going to buy that card just because it's priced too high. Maybe a few years down the road, who knows? Or maybe I make a nice trade or something of that nature. But I think that's going to be this episode, guys. I appreciate you guys always following me on here. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, review, share the episode with others. Again, think with your head. You guys are smart. And then if you guys have questions or you guys want me to cover a certain topic, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I will cover that for sure. Getting more ideas is always important. And hearing from you, the collector, the flipper, whomever it may be, is important as well. We're going to have some guests next week, really fun guests. We're going to have somebody from Portugal next week on the pod. We're going to have Scott from WCO Cards, one of the organizers of the SoCo Expo on the pod as well. Hopefully the Northern Soccer Card Expo guys come on. And I don't mean to give them too much pressure, but I want you guys on the pod. I want to promote your show so you guys have a bigger attendance. I know my reach isn't as big as some of the other guys, but we're doing our best here to reach out to people correctly that are enjoying the hobby and having fun. And a lot of you guys have stuck around, which has been great for the last few years, where a lot of people have left. So you guys should all be proud of yourselves. Give yourselves pats on the back for sticking around when times got hard. Times have gotten hard for some people the last few years, and they left, totally left, which kind of leads you to like believe it's just not easy anymore in terms of flipping and things of that nature. But again, I appreciate everybody that shares the podcast, likes it, reviews it. Give me a review on Apple and on Spotify, and both if you could. Make sure you comment on YouTube as well. Takes you 2 seconds to do those things. I really appreciate all the support you guys give me. Remember, follow me on Instagram at Special One Cards. So card ladder, that is going to be available on Monday. You'll have the code Monday, guaranteed Monday. All right. I promise. It's coming any day now, but Monday you should be here. Also, I'm not sure I'm going to drop the hoodie yet. I'm just trying to logistically plan with the vendor where you guys could, if you guys want to get one of those, you get it right off their website versus the website that I don't have, that's not up yet. Cause I don't want to put it on there yet if the website's not working yet. It's not totally done yet. So, I may talk to the vendor about that. They do have the option to do that. So the hoodie may be out next week and you'll get notification of it before anybody else does on the podcast. There will be a limited drop. It will not be as many as people can buy. I'm going to make them limited to 20 or 30, and that's it. But again, thank you for the support, everybody. I really appreciate it. And for those in Canada, I was thinking about producing a bunch of those hoodies and bringing them up there, but I'm not going to do that. Maybe in the spring I'll do that. It's just the time frame doesn't work, and I'm not positive if I'm going yet. So that's kind of the downfall there. Investing all that money and then not being able to bring them with me because they weren't logistically done in time. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Watch some footy. We got big Clasico this weekend. Real Madrid, Barcelona. Lamine Yamal again, mouthing off. Sorry, I'm not gonna say that. That's not nice of me. He's chattering a lot. He's chattering a lot. We'll see what happens. See if he can back it up this time. Didn't back it up in the Champions League or the Nations League final, but we'll see. Lamine hater. He's a very good player, excellent player, probably the best in the world. Although for me, it's Mbappe, but what do I know? We'll see if Mbappe performs. We'll see if those two hobby guys can really put on a performance to remember this weekend. Let me know what you guys think this weekend. Who wins the El Clasico? I'm looking forward to it. But enjoy your weekend, guys. Enjoy your time with the family. Take care of each other. All right. We'll see you guys next time.